Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another review. Today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse 3 Jokers Batman. Now before we get into it here, let us first take a look-see at both the front and the back of the packaging. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we get into the meat and taters of this review, the 3 Jokers Batman does come with a collectible trading card. And I apologize in advance if this is not this particular Batman's trading cards. They're all starting to look the same to me. But with that being said, the costumes match, right? Right? I don't know. There's a bio on the back. If you don't know who Batman is, I swear to God. Other than that, though, he does come with a Bat grapple. Sorry it's so dark in here. It wasn't a second ago. But it's got the little shooty cord coming out of it, which I like this. It's something different from the Rebirth Batman, who had a more relaxed grapple gun. This is a slightly better, I think, shooty one, because we've gotten some before and they just look kind of silly to me. That said, it does fit in his hand quite well. Like, really well. It took me a second to get this out. But he can hold it. Like so. But on top of all that, he of course comes with the hockey puck display stand. We're used to seeing with all McFarlane figures. So, with that being said, why am I reviewing such an old figure? Well, this is held in very high regard as one of the best McFarlane Batman figures to date. And while I have to agree to an extent, it does have its issues. So we're going to talk about those today. That said, for the $10 I paid, yeah, it's definitely worth the price of admission. Not going to lie. But I will say, I think of the more traditional style Batman figures we've gotten in this line, that I have anyways, I like the Rebirth one the most. I think the Rebirth one is the strongest. Granted, I think this one's cape is made out of a better material because of how soft it is, and it doesn't impede articulation nearly as much as the Rebirth Batman does. This one does have flaws that one does not have. For starters, the head joint, it's in the neck and not the head itself. I don't know why they did this. Because they've done Batman figures before where the cape goes right up under the neck, or the skull, the base of the skull, and the head itself is what rotates and moves around, and it gets really good range. This is kind of that weird joint, and it just doesn't... It seems super dated. And the Dark Knight's Metal Batman had this too, and I just don't think it looks that good. That said, he also has a bit of a hunchback going on because of the way this cape is sculpted. But if you were to remove this and replace it with a soft goods cape, that problem's pretty much omitted. So that's the cape's fault, not really the base figure. That, and he only comes with the grapple gun. He doesn't come with a batarang like the Rebirth Batman does. A pretty well done batarang, I might add. And other than that, I think his chest is a little bit narrow. Just a little bit. He's a little better than, say, the Spawn with the Throne we looked at the other day. But I think the anatomy on this guy is a little off. His leg seems super big for the figure. And if you look at it this way, this is fine. If you look at it this way, this is fine. I don't know. Something just seems off to me about this figure. And they keep reusing the body for other versions of Batman, like the Year 2 Batman and the, what is it, Hush 2-pack Batman with the weird elbow thing going on. And I have to say, I wish they would maybe tweak this body the more they used it, just to make it a little bit better than it is. Because while it isn't bad, it could be better. You can always do better, right? But as far as articulation goes, we already looked at the head. The shoulders are on that weird ball socket thing that moves all around. And they do hinge up and down. Forward and back. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a double joint in the elbow, which doesn't look terrible. I'll give him that. He doesn't have the Cliffs of Dover going on other than right here. But that's not bad. This upper joint is pretty good. That's relatively clean and smooth. I like that. Relatively. Kind of reminds me of the Azrael from White Knight. Yeah, the bottom joint has the trench going on. The top one does not. And as far as his hands go, you can rotate them and hinge them around and whatnot. They're on the ball hinges. You could pop them out too and swap them with other figures. So if you have maybe the Zod, the Rebirth Zod, I think his hands might work a little better with this guy than they would with the Rebirth Batman, which is another figure you could swap some parts with. As far as the torso goes, this is where the figure kind of falls apart. He does not have poop for crunch. He does not crunch like the Rebirth one does. It's got a little bit, but not a lot. And the waist on mine is kind of loose right now. That's weird. I don't remember it being that way. But it is what it is. Diaper's nice and soft, so you can kick the legs forward pretty far. You can't kick them back. You can't kick them out. Kick. I don't know what I was doing there. It's got a thigh cut that works okay on both sides. Yep. So that's supposed to be there. He's got a double joint at the knee. The knees are a little loose in places, especially on the right side. I'm not a fan of that, but it's okay. The top knee seems to be a little better than the bottom knee. Look at how nice that looks compared to this. And this isn't bad, it's just kind of flat, but this seems to look a little bit more natural. The knee's a little bit oddly placed, I'll say, but there's no giant trench or overly flat spot here, so I'm kind of okay with that. Kind of. It could be better. And then he does have the ball hinge ankles, which are super detented. They feel pretty tight. He's got the rocker, and he's got the toe joints, which is ratcheted on one side and on the other. So he's got toe joints that are tight in neutral, which I always appreciate. I don't care if they're loose in other places, but as long as they're tight and neutral and I can stand the figure on the shelf without him taking a shelf dive, then by all means I will take it. But getting his grapple gun back in his hand here, which can be easier said than done. There. I like this figure, but I think the Rebirth Batman is the one to get right now. I think that's the best Batman we have in this line. As much as I like this figure and was looking forward to it, and I'm happy I got it on sale from Dorkside Toys, shout out to Dorkside, it's not perfect. It's not the perfect Batman. It has its issues, but it does look nice. If you missed out on the Rebirth Batman and can still pick this one up, which this one I think is a little bit more common than the Rebirth Batman, mostly because of the reputation that figure has now, then by all means pick this one up. This is a really solid figure of the Dark Knight. So with that being said, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here's our 3 Jokers Batman next to the only other Batmans in the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. Really worth comparing him to. We have the Dark Knight's Metal Batman from the Merciless Collectabuild wave, and the infamous Rebirth Batman, which you guys know I hold in very high esteem on this channel. And I have to say, of the 3 of these, if you combine the Rebirth Batman and 3 Jokers Batman together, maybe the articulation on the Rebirth Batman with the size and colors of the 3 Jokers Batman, you would have what I would say the perfect Batman in the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. Let me know what you guys think, and also let me know what you guys think of a top 10 McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batmans list, because after reviewing all these Batman figures, I'm kind of thinking that's a good idea at this point. And last but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legions, Brother Mandibulus, Beloved Spawn. For those of you who were worried that the Spawn with the Throne was going to take his place as part of being one of the two regulars in my reviews, fret not, because Beloved Spawn is here to stay. So with that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and if you missed out on the Rebirth Batman, or if you're like me and want to complete the 3 Jokers wave, then this is a definite must-have. But if you already have the Rebirth Batman and have no interest in completing the 3 Jokers wave, then this is a pass as far as I'm concerned. But with that being said, this guy is a little bit cheaper than the Rebirth Batman right now. So if you did miss out on Rebirth Batman, then by all means pick this guy up. It is still a really solid Batman figure. I just like the Rebirth one more. I think it does a few things a lot better, and while this one is nice, it has some very dated articulation choices in it that kind of hold it back in my opinion. That said, for 10 to 15 bucks, you can't beat it, especially when the Rebirth one is either retail price at 20 bucks or sold out and you're going to have to pay aftermarket prices, which, given the reputation that figure has, I see it becoming the Pizza Spidey of the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line, if you know what I mean by that. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you are so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil. The world sucks enough as it is, especially when you don't have a proper head joint. I mean, what is that thing in the neck, really? 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 Seems kind of dated at this point. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.